Hey everybody, I'm Bill Vencil. This is Chords of Orion, and on this video I want to talk about three things. My up-and-coming new Chords of Orion album, I'll give you a little bit of the scoop on that, the finishing or almost finishing of my new studio space, and also why I have a painting from a dead friend of mine hanging on the wall behind me. So let's get started first with the new album. I'm hoping to get it completed and out the door before the end of March. So working really hard. It's in the mastering phases now. The album is going to be called Layers, and it's really kind of focused on, as you would expect, layered ambient textures, ambient guitar soundscape textures, obviously, and I'm very excited to get it done and share it with all of you. So before I move on, I have a quick question though about that. Would you be interested in me creating some videos over the next several weeks discussing how I have created this album? If you're interested, drop a comment below and let me know what kind of topics you're interested in. All right, topic number 2, the almost completion of the studio space. If you've been following me, you may remember that late last year, late 2022, I upgraded a lot of equipment here in the studio. I purchased a fancy, dancy, Argosy studio desk. I got some really cool Atom Audio monitor speakers, and I totally ripped apart my basement and reconfigured the studio area. So I'd like to show you what it looks like now. Of course, if I turn around and get out of the way, you can see the actual desk and studio area. Now, I've done a couple of videos about this, and you've seen it on recent videos, so I'm not going to go through it in detail. I'm using Logic Pro. That's been my recording software of choice for many years. Again, I've got the Atom Audio monitors and a small set of Aventone monitors for checking mixes, just kind of small speaker checking of mixes. And I'm using the same basic equipment that I've been using for a bunch of years, including my main Focusrite audio interface. What was not complete, though, on the last video was the acoustic treatment and the layout of the space. So I've got my iPhone here, and I'm going to use this to show you what I've got going on. So first, let's look at the floor. And as you can see, I've got a rug down. Okay, this is basically a 12-foot by 12-foot space that the wooden floor that you see covers. This is a slightly raised floor. I'm in an old 115-year-old basement. The water situation down here is pretty good these days. It has not been, though, in the past, and I don't want to take a chance on any kind of damage to my equipment. So it's a slightly raised floor. It's pretty cool, and it works really well. Love the rug. It's nice, soft, comfy, all that good stuff. All right, let's take a look at the ceiling now, and you're going to see something interesting. The ceiling basically is covered by a photography backdrop. Now, what used to be here was an old ratty drop ceiling that actually dropped the ceiling down to about 6.5 feet. And so I ripped it all out, and I'm close to 8 feet now in ceiling height, which is really nice. And underneath that drop cloth is all acoustic insulation, just insulation. So it's really nice. It absorbs a lot of reflected sound from when I'm talking or if I'm listening and monitoring, whatever it might be. So that has been working really well. Now, for the walls, let me show you here, there aren't any walls. So again, because this is an old basement, I did not want to risk building walls and then having some kind of issue with the walls, possibly because of the old basement. So what I did was I bought another backdrop there that you can see it. I'll talk about that painting there in a minute, but you can see it behind my desk. And then I bought some sound absorbing curtains, and then also have acoustic absorption panels hung in front of the curtains. There's some of my babies. Yeah, really nice. So the reason why I did this is when I was thinking about how to configure this studio, I started thinking, oh wait, what about studio gobos? Now, if you know what they are, they're movable sound absorbing panels. So if you want to surround a drum set or maybe surround a singer or whatever to block acoustic reflections, you can use those. So I thought, well, I could do the same thing here in the basement and save myself the hassle of trying to hang drywall and create a real room. So behind this wall here, there's about 10 feet of basement over there behind it. Behind this wall over here, there's about 5 or 6 feet of basement behind it. And behind this backdrop, there's about another 5 or 6 feet of basement before you hit the wall. Now you might be thinking, well, what about that last wall? Well, that last wall is not a wall either. It's another backdrop. As you can see, there are actually 2 backdrops. I've got my green screen and I've got a plain grayish backdrop. And behind that backdrop is about 15, 16 feet of basement, open basement. So that's actually the next area I'm going to attack. I want to create a bigger video recording space back in that direction. I'm also going to hang, probably behind those backdrops that you just saw, some more acoustic treatment at some point just to block more reflections. I'm not being super scientific about it, but it seems to be working really well. And I really love this space. I've got a lot of shelving behind the backdrop here, so all of my other equipment is arranged on the shelving. It's really easy to get to. It's really great. All right, the last topic of this video is why I have a painting that was made by a dead friend of mine on the wall. That's an acoustic absorption panel. So I actually was able to send in a digital image of the painting and they applied it to the covering of the acoustic panel. I think it looks great. Now, why do I have that hanging on the wall? Well, for one reason, I really like it. It's cool. It's a galaxy. As a matter of fact, it's called Framed Galaxy. But more importantly than it looking cool is that it was created by my friend, Connell Byrne, and it's been almost 5 years since he passed away. He was one of a group of us when we were younger that heavily collaborated on art and music. For like 15 years, we did on a very regular, sometimes daily basis. So Connell is very near and dear to my heart as a friend and as a fellow musician. So I felt it was only fitting to honor his memory by taking that really cool painting of his and hanging it in my studio. It reminds me of all of the great creative collaborative times that he and I had with the rest of our group, the rest of our band. And it also just reminds me about how important it is to be creative. So, do you have things that remind you and inspire you to be creative? Drop a comment below. Also, again, don't forget to let me know if you have any topics you'd like me to cover in the next few weeks as I'm finishing up the next album. Topics on recording, mixing, mastering, packaging, whatever those topics are that you might be interested in, drop a comment and let me know, and I'll see all of you on the next video.